This portion is brought to you by Bureau of Internal Revenue RDO 38. Nagbabalik ang Christmas episode ng Entrepinas TV. BIR Form 2307 o ang Certificate of Creditable Tax Withheld at Source. Para kanino at paano nga ba ginagamit ito? Naritong muli si Margie De Castro ng Bureau of Internal Revenue RDO 38 para liwanagan tayo.
Magandang araw mga ka-Entrepinas. Ako si Margie De Castro ng Bureau of Internal Revenue RDO 38, nagbabalik para sa Entrep Tips. Ngayong araw ay pag-uusapan natin ang BIR Form 2307. Ano po ito? Ito po ay isang Certificate of Creditable Tax Withheld at Source. At sino po ang mag-i-issue nito? Ini-issue po ito ng isang withholding agent on the income payments na ginagawa niya through other taxpayer. There are taxpayers who are mandated to withhold on all of their expenses and sales transactions. And who are these? These are the TAM taxpayers, which constitute 80% of paid collection of the Revenue District Office. Then, we have the top 20,000 corporation, the top 10,000 corporation, and the top 5,000 individual taxpayers. So, ito pong klaseng taxpayer, they are mandated. So, they don't have option. They are mandated to withhold on all their regular purchases and expenses because there are certain expenses na hindi mo pwedeng ma-claim as expense pag hindi po sila na subject to withholding tax. Like for example, rental expense. You cannot claim rental expense pag hindi po siya na subject to withholding tax. Kasi ang withholding tax, it's not a kind of tax but rather it is an advance payment of the tax due of certain sales transaction or expenses. So like for example, ang rent. Ano ang rate ng withholding tax? It's 5%. On the sale of services, it's 2%. On the sale of goods, it's 1%. So mandatory po yan, no? So ito po yung role ng isang withholding agent, which is to deduct the corresponding withholding tax on that sales or expenses transaction. Then, pag ma-deduct, he or she has to remit the withholding tax that has been deducted from that transaction. So after deducting the corresponding withholding tax, the withholding agent has to remit such tax using BIR Form 0619E if it's monthly or BIR Form 1601EQ for the quarterly withholding tax return. So after such taxes has been remitted, then that's the time the withholding agent has to issue the BIR Form 2307, which is a proof that a withholding tax has been deducted and remitted at the same time. So, may dalawang section po doon. Yung Section A, creditable or expanded withholding tax on income tax. Ang rate po niyan ay 1%. Ang letter B na section doon sa tax certificate is a withholding tax on the business tax. So, kung VAT siya, 12%. Pag government transaction, ang creditable withholding is 5%. How will the seller use the BIR Form 2307? Ang gagawin niya upon filing the quarterly income tax return or the annual income tax return kung saan tugma yung withholding tax certificate, ang period, doon po niya isasama at i-deduct yung withholding tax sa income tax. So kung ang income tax payable ng seller amounts to 10,000, may withholding na 3,000, so ang remaining amount na 7,000, yun na lang po ang babayaran niya. Kasi as we have said, withholding tax is an advance payment of taxes. Okay. If ever the BIR Form 2307 is applicable for the business tax, which is value-added tax or the percentage tax, So doon po i-deduct din sa corresponding with a quarterly value-added tax return or the quarterly percentage tax return. At yan ang entry tips na hatid namin sa inyo sa araw na ito. Muli, ako si Margie D. Castro ng Bureau of Internal Revenue, RDO 38, ang inyong kasabay sa pag-asenso sa buhay at negosyo.